Hello, everybody. Happy March. This is Joe Maldonado, Alder, City of Fitchburg, and I'm here with another episode of D1 All-Stars. Today, I wore my Jimi Hendrix t-shirt.
Yes.
You know why? Because we've got a rock star in our presence. I'd like to introduce you all to a community leader, a community health worker, wellness educator, behavior specialist, and substance abuse counselor. Also, the founder of the community agency Bridging the Gap, whose mission is to provide immediate crisis intervention, which is critical to prevent subsequent homelessness, unemployment, bodily harm, psychological trauma, gun violence, and sometimes death. We're in the presence of somebody who does really important, groundbreaking work in our community and keeps our community stable and healthy. I'd like to welcome Miss Carmella Harris to D1 All-Stars. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Carmella, we usually start off D1 All-Stars just talking about who you are. Tell us your story. How'd you get here? Anything you're comfortable or interested in telling us, please share.
Thank you, Joe. Of course, I am Carmella Harris. And I came here like 30 years ago to visit my sister. I was living in California and she had 5 children. I have been in the field of mental health all my life as a recipient and as a professional. I started about 30 years ago as an instructor for LOBIS treatment, which is for autistic children. And I worked in schools, LaFarlex, Senate, Leopold. I'm a grandmom, which is my biggest and most important job of all. And of course, I'm a mom. I had 2 children and one has passed away. I am a behavior specialist and an educator. I work for Anesis and other mental health facilities. I have 5 organizations that I have created. Live to Your Foundation is created in honor of my daughter. And we give out scholarships every year for $400 to 2 students that are in human ecology at UW-Madison. UW-Madison also has a scholarship program they named after my daughter that they give out a scholarship to 1 student. I have the grandparents group. Being a grandparent, I had to raise my grandchildren for a while and we needed the support. I have walkie-talkies, and I'm just going to share real briefly about walkie-talkies. Walkie-talkies was created from my mental illness. After I lost my husband and my daughter, both to cancer, my daughter was 22, just graduated from UW, Dean's List honor student. I could not function, and I started walking. And people started walking with me, and that was a good way to. I thought it was a good way to do therapy. So we would walk and talk. So then the organizations in the neighborhood like JFF, the Wellness Center, Rise, started walking with the community, and we got to know them better. That was just something very awesome. I also teach the diabetes group for UW-Madison with Dr. Eva Vivian. And of course, I am the founder and owner of community agency Bridging the Gap.
Wow, that is a lot. That is quite the resume, and we're going to dive into all of that later in the program. So you live in my neighborhood. You live in the Allied Duns Marsh neighborhood. It's a very special place to me. It's a very special place to a lot of people. And it's a mix of Madison and Fitchburg. So depending on where you walk, sometimes you don't even know you crossed the border into another municipality. But you've been doing some groundbreaking work in the neighborhood for a long time. What brought you to this particular part of our city and our community? I
had always lived in Fitchburg, but suburbs like Lacey Road. My children also went to Savannah Oaks and was in a core program. But once again, I had to bring back, once my daughter passed away and my husband passed away, I moved in with my son. And I just happened to go to Porch Light one day and I met Sina Davis. And believe it or not, that was the day I was going to take my life. and she took me to the hospital. And so she weaned me into this community with mothers in the neighborhood. And I just thought, you know what, I have to do something with my time. I love people. I've been serving people since I was 8 years old. And like going to nursing homes and teaching them how to crochet and knit. And that really was the start of community work for me.
And Miss Sina, may she rest in peace. Another amazing community leader. One thing that's so special to me about where we live is we have some really dedicated human beings that really care and really give of themselves to the people around them. What do you love about our neighborhood? What do you love about Fitchburg? What do you love about Allied and Dunsmarsh?
What I really love about Allied is every time a child or someone calls me Miss Carmella, because that's a form of respect. And it's very hard to get someone to acknowledge you in that manner. And I'm talking about anyone from the old to a drug dealer. I mean, I've literally been on the streets and there's been, you guys that you could tell me have been doing something. They're going to be like, oh, Miss Carmella, how you doing? And they literally stop and they're so excited and they want to tell me about something. They say, I need a job. Can you help me with a job? You got a bus ticket. But at that moment, when they stop to just ask me or just to acknowledge me, it's like, well, I've done something, because these are people with hearts and soul. And my mission statement is to be humble, to be kind, to be patient, and to support everyone in love. And that's who I am. And I love that about this community, because we have so many disparities. We have so many issues. We have things that you have to have been there in your life. You have to have had experience in what they are going through in order to understand them. Because it's just not about a Black thing. It's about teaching them how to live and not survive, teaching them how to have hope, teaching them how to have that respect. Because most of them, I'll say, how you doing, sir? I address them. I give them that respect, especially young men, because I want them to know you hold your head up. You are somebody. You deserve that. And I guess also the organizations, the co-op, the wellness, the NRT, the Wellness Center. I mean, just being a part of so many organizations and being on the board, and they just welcomed me in, and they didn't know anything about me. And just when I just saw all these leaders like want to change a community, and I've never been in a community where I needed changing, because I lived in communities that were okay. And I don't mean that. Well, I mean that literally, because I grew up in the projects, and my goal was to make sure my kids never grew up in the projects. So coming to this neighborhood, it was almost like growing up again. It was almost like coming back to something I was familiar with. It was real struggles, real issues, real people. I felt like I could just be me and I could relate to them. And they were so willing to share with me the real deal. Because one thing you have to understand, especially in mental health and crisis, if they don't trust you, you're not going to get the information you need, and they're not going to get the help they need.
Absolutely. So we're gonna take a break, but there's so much layers to what you're saying right now, and there's so much to unpack. So we'll be back to talk a little bit more about the neighborhood and a little bit more about the idea of respect and dignity. This is Joe Maldonado, D1 All-Stars. We'll see you soon. D1 All-Stars, Joe Maldonado, Miss Carmella Harris, we are back. This is one thing about what you brought up about respect, dignity. I know, a lot of the women leaders in our neighborhood. I address and have addressed all of them with Miss Carmella, Miss Alice, Miss Sina, Miss Selena. And then there's always just, a certain quality of dignity and matriarchy in this neighborhood that I really deeply appreciate. I'm thinking about, some of what you said, in that there's a lot of pain that, people in our community are going through and have been going through for a really long time. I remember the first time I met you, actually, I think I was in the parking lot of the Boys and Girls Club, and you came up to me and you're like, "Who are you?" And then you're like, "Do you know who I am?" And I said, "Yes, I know who you are." And then my wife had to jump in to vouch for me and make sure, I was legit in your eyes. But that always made a mark on me. The idea of just, in our community, while there is a lot of people moving in and out, there is a certain level of stability in that. Some of the folks that have really been doing the groundwork have been here for a really long time and have grinded to make sure that there's great outcomes for our people. And you hosted an event. I couldn't make it, but an event in Ally Park honoring the victims of COVID-19. I want to hear from you just about, all the themes you've been discussing and how you've seen the pandemic impact people, families, mental health.
Well, loss is great, no matter which way it comes. And a lot of times, especially in the pandemic, when people were so isolated and they couldn't go to a funeral, they maybe whoever their loved one passed and they were in a funeral home for a month, it's just so many unusual, uncommon circumstances. So you got grief on top of grief, and then you didn't say goodbye. So, I do that every year, and it was an awesome way of just coming out and telling that loved one that you maybe didn't get a chance to have a funeral for or say goodbye to, and just releasing in your spirit so you can heal. And knowing that you didn't forget them and it's okay. You didn't press it down and pretend it didn't happen. And for me, it was a way of me just saying to my daughter, I love you and I'm here. To my husband, I love you. To my sisters, I love you, I'm here. And just keeping them, we have a tendency that when we lose a loved one after years, the memories fade. Or we think if we talk about them in the present tense, then people think something is wrong with us. But you always want to remember and talk about your loved ones because that was a part of you. When you was a little girl, you had a grandma, you had a mom, you had a sister. And because they have left this earth to go to heaven, that doesn't mean that you don't enjoy those memories. It don't mean that you don't talk about the memories in a positive way. It doesn't mean that. You got to keep them. You keep them alive in your heart and your spirit. You never let that go. And that was a good opportunity for people to just keep them alive in their spirit. We do it every year. They release a balloon. They get a chance to say whatever they want. They can share as many loved ones that they have lost. And it's their moment. It's their moment to be able, in a sense, to not only tell the people that are there who they lost, but to tell that person in the spirit, even if you don't believe in that, but it's their way, of saying, hey, I love you. I miss you. I hope you're doing well. Keep watching over me, whatever they believe in. And we have to respect that.
So what were things you heard that resonated with you that day?
I don't know. Bria Schultz, who is an ally partner, she stood up and just cried. She said, I've never, ever spoke or shared about my brother. And she talked about him. And you could just see like it was just a release. It was just a release. And for her to be that brave. I'm sure she's always wanted to do it, but for her to get up, and she was like the last person, and she got up there and she really cried. And she says, I never spoke about my book. I never spoke about what happened. And she told us her story. And, you know, I just think it touched everybody. It touched people when you share not only joy, but pain. Sometimes it touches them in a way that they can feel it because they've lived it or they know what you're talking about. Or it touches them for you, you know, of the pain you went through. And, you know, people were hugging and, you know, it's having cake afterwards. And it was just like everybody who didn't know each other before, it was like we knew each other. It was like we knew everybody became friends for that moment. Everybody had a story that was similar. And it was just great. It was great. And I love doing it.
Yeah. And I imagine you're going to keep doing it.
I've been doing it this will be the 5th year. This will be the 6th year this year.
Yeah. That loss, that grief, being able to process it and being able to do something with it is so important. So you mentioned Allied Partners, and I've been involved with them as well, but they're, you know, a group of faith-based organizations. Most of the people there don't live in our community, but they're really just dedicated to being able to support in any way possible. So shout out to the Allied Partners and shout out to the, you know, neighborhood resource team in the city of Madison that you mentioned. There's just a lot of people with hands on our community that are willing to help for no other reason than just they want to give. And I really appreciate that. So in the last couple minutes of this segment, I'd love you to talk about what it is that you think that our community needs more of, that it doesn't have.
It needs more of people like me.
Yes.
And listen to what I mean by that, is that you got to be willing to sacrifice something to make a change. You got to be willing to deny yourself, even when you're tired. You have to have gratitude. You need to, you know, you have to be able to give. See, our purpose is to give to someone and to be grateful for what we have. Because when we give, we're blessing ourselves as well as that person. And we always think that what we're doing is what we're doing it for us. But most of the times, whatever we're doing, that purpose may be for someone else. And it may be the thing that changes their life. I've met so many people in my lifetime, and I don't know who was that one that needed to meet me in my lifetime in order to get up that next morning, in order to not put a gun to their head and kill themselves, in order to not beat their children. I don't know who that was, but I know it happened. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful.
I'm grateful too, because I know I've had those moments.
Yeah.
And I know other people have reflected later on about how, you know, something I said that impacted them in either a positive or negative way. And it wasn't even a second thought for me. It was just something I happened to say, like, in the moment. I really appreciate that. So when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about more what you do. So this is Joe, Carmella, Miss Carmella, D1 All-Stars, and we will be back. All right, D1 All-Stars, we are back with Miss Carmella Harris. So, you know, there's this, I used to watch In Living Color when I was a kid, and there was this family called the Headleys. They were always competing with each other about how many jobs they had. And said, oh, the boys got 39 jobs. You've got a lot of jobs, Miss Carmella. You do a lot of things in the community. Can you walk us through, like, just your average day, your average week, what it looks like, where you go, who you talk to, just so people can kind of understand what your world looks like?
Okay. So just to let you know, you have a lot of jobs too, Joe. I checked you out. You do a whole bunch, okay? And my hats off to you.
Thank you.
Well, what a day would look like for me, besides writing grants, I opened the center. We're going to have a grand opening in April. It will be the first community crisis center in the LI Dunmarch area. And that's going to be beautiful. And I'm so proud of it because it brings something good to our neighborhood that we can be proud of. So when I'm not doing a crisis, we're open 24 hours. Right now, myself and Dr. Al are the only therapists or licensed crisis people that can address those. And we address anything from death to someone just needing a Pampers. So that's part of what my day looks like. When I'm not doing that, I'm speaking. I spoke at the NAMI conference. If I'm not doing that, I'm working on my daughter's foundation, which is Lift Hill Foundation. We're always looking for young high school students or college students that are struggling, that have a desire for fashion because she was in fashion, that we can help out. Other than that, I'm walking the streets all the time. I had to put a sign on my door, say, call before you knock, because people were just coming to my home, just knocking. I'm like, oh my God. I'm usually, I'm always out helping anyone that I can, delivering food, delivering essentials, taking people to the doctor. I was actually in the hospital right after Christmas, and I have an aneurysm. And the day I came home, another lady was having a stroke, and I got up and we went to the emergency room. Because here's the thing of what I do. It's not that I do so much. I do what I love, and it comes so easy. It's just like a no-brainer to me to love and to do and to help people. And I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have this to do. I'd probably be very bored. I'd get very old, be in a rocking chair somewhere, trying to get a Pepsi and a cigarette. And I love my life now. It took me this long to really love my life. I didn't have a great life. And to say that I love what I do, and it's just like, I feel guilty when people give me things, because this is what I love. This is who I am. I'm only doing what I'm only being who I am. I'm just being me. And it's great.
Living in your purpose.
There you go.
Yeah.
Finally. Yeah.
So you love what you do. What do you do when you're not doing your work? What's downtime for you?
Oh, honey, let me tell you. I exercise. I meditate. I dance. I have a drink every now and then. I go to the comedy club because I love comedy and I try to be funny. I love my grandchildren. They're here all the time. I'm always with them. My grandchildren are my life, my son. And, I could have a date or two, you just don't know.
Hey.
But whatever I do, I'm really into emotional well-being, being in mental health. I try to have a balance so that I won't, burn out. Yeah.
Absolutely. What's your go-to cocktail?
B&B. Benedict and Brandy.
Benedict and Brandy. Okay. That's a very classy drink. I like that.
Well, I got to get the best.
Yes. And I have yet to be on the dance floor with you, so we got to cut a rug one day.
For sure, because I dance with your wife.
Yes, I'm sure you have, because my wife likes to dance too.
I've been teaching myself salsa for the last 6 months. And wait till I get out. I'm going to show people I can dance. My family don't think I can, but yeah.
Okay, so when we have the block party this summer, we will make sure to get some salsa playing. Awesome. So
can I just say one quick
absolutely,
thing?
Please.
If there's someone out there who are suffering from mental health and emotional health, we offer free service for 5 months. And we will make sure that you are matched and paired with an agency that truly is a good fit for you and that you get the help you need. We are partnering with everyone from Rogers to NAMI. We have partners all over the city, all over the state that we can hook you to right there. We will not let you go. We will not let you be alone. We will stay with you until you get the help you need.
So I was going to ask that. Tell us more about the center. When's it opening? Where's it going to be?
The center is at 4269 West Beltline Highway, because we had to move the date back. And you could, if any crisis, you could come in for any crisis that you have. I mean, and people don't understand that if you have a crisis, let's say you and your husband get in a fight and you're running from your husband, and you're in a car and on the way to a crisis center, you run out of gas on the highway, and the baby ain't having any milk, but you get to the crisis center, and you tell me, while you telling me what's happening with the relationship, you say, my car's on the highway and my baby needs a Pampers and milk. Well, our first priority is to get your car up the highway, put some gas in it, get that baby a Pampers and milk. And then because then you're there, you're present. Once you are present, then we can help you with the next emotional issue. It's just important that people understand that everybody's crisis is different. And you can't have someone who can't go to an appointment and they get there and the first thing they tell you is that, well, it took all my money to get here. I don't have a way home. But you ignore that. You don't offer them bus or anything. Now, they didn't sacrifice all their money to get to your appointment. But you pretty and you don't hear that. That's a need for them. Get that need met so they can get home safe. And then you'll have them. Then that builds trust. It builds a relationship. We don't know how to build relationships.
Absolutely. Well, you've given us so many gems. I was going to ask you to give us some words of wisdom. We can go back in this episode and find plenty. Thank you so much for everything that you do and everything that you've done and all the time you're spending with us. This is Alder Joe Maldonado. This is Miss Carmella Harris. D1 All-Stars. We are out.